Hello there guys, welcome back. My name is Victor, the author of the File Soldier series of novels, and folks, this is episode number 14 of Survive. Now, some of us who have had the chance to study physics at a higher institution of learning have most definitely, come across quantum mechanics. Now, and if that should be true, then eventually we have been acquainted with one Mr. Erwin Rudolf Joseph Alexander Schrödinger. In short, Erwin Schrödinger. Schrödinger, for those who are certainly not sure, was a Nobel Prize winning Austrian and a naturalized Irish physicist who developed a number of fundamental results in quantum theory. For example, the Schrödinger's equation that provides a way to calculate the wave function of a system and how it changes dynamically in time. Schrödinger was born on the 12th of August of 1887 in Vienna, Austria-Hungary, and paid great attention to philosophical aspects of science. And in fact, in popular culture, is most known for his Schrödinger's cat thought experiment. But before I move to the cat, I'll share a little secret, and shh, don't you say this is what I told you. I never said this, okay? One word, epimeredy. Schrödinger kept a record of his sexual liaison, including children he may have sexually abused, in a diary called epimeredy. In this diary, apparently, he stated a predilection for teenage girls on the grounds that their innocence was the ideal match for his natural genius. I did not say this to you, okay? So let's move to the cat. In quantum mechanics, Schrödinger's cat is a thought experiment that illustrates a paradox of quantum superposition. In the thought experiment, a hypothetical cat may be considered simultaneously both alive and dead, while it is unobserved in a closed box as a result of its fate being linked to a random subatomic event that may or may not occur. Now take it this way so you may understand. A cat, a flask of poison, and a radioactive source are placed in a sealed box, like this one. Now, if a Geiger counter detects radioactivity, the flask is shattered, releasing the poison which kills the cat. After a while, the cat is simultaneously alive and dead. Yet, when one looks in the box, one sees the cat either alive or dead, not both alive and dead. Okay? And this poses the question of when exactly this superposition ends and reality resolves into one possibility or the other. Now, for those who have been following these events, you recall episode number 12, that is 12, the part where I talked about the manner in which I was able to rescue myself from the hijackers by simply going for the door and diving onto the tarmac road. Today, I'll take this superposition and reflect on it in a bubble of quantum mechanics. We are basically in a continuum, assume that. The carjackers are the radioactive substances, I beg your pardon, and the hostages represent the Schrödinger's cat. Well, except that one cat that is me, was able to burst out of the box and save itself. Anyways, guys, let me pass to worse news for Mr. John Taylor. Sit back and relax because this is not a story for another day. John's escape plan has failed, and the helicopter chase in Boston has led to a tire burst and a skid of the vehicle he had stolen and planned to escape in. That obviously spells doom, and it's game on for his next predicament. Does he have any other move in this game of chess? It's coming up in a while. Stay tuned. Now I'll begin reading from where I left in the previous episode. This is Survive, the first book of the Fire Soldier series. John, I know there's a part of you that gives a crap. Now I will repeat one last time. Put the gun down. The men had planned well. The STM always does. Not much choice was left. I had been under their watch the whole time. Easy. Now step forward. I knew a killer when I saw one. At the one on the left, I tossed the gun, motioned forward, and raised my hands. It was on my lips to ask this calm man what devil I was up against, but on his drawing a sword shiner than his forehead, and on his giving it a dreadful smoothing, I could only hope that I wouldn't melt down like jelly. I had fucked up with the system already. This man was bad seed. He'd kill at the blink of an eye. I had to behave. The wheel of time had brought with it no relief. Obedience was the only way I knew I wouldn't be dead by sunrise. Even for sacred cows like myself, it was never easy. By best of luck, I wasn't dead. So we move to chapter 3. September 2nd, Boston, MA, 18:55 p.m. I was not in a disposition to contemplate the objects of the intercourse needing preservation between my captors and I. No. Too late for such crusade. The void inside me was strength enough. Two men of unquenchable building spirit whisked me away like a sack of filth. They deposited me into the rear of the EC-132 chopper. A white piece of paper was handed over to me. The pen I received was black. Despite inherent conviction to await the request to engage it on the white piece, playing a central role in such villainous intrigues was devastating. It was like starting a race amongst men of business in a slow puncture. STM Kudus Tower, EC-132 Alpha Bravo, West Massachusetts, with information Tango requesting exit control zone for VFR flight departing via Sierra. The faction and active inside men on government payroll. These men worked at every air traffic control tower in Boston. They would assist in case things went haywire. The EC-132 helicopter crew was kept on high alert by two ATC officers from Kudu's STM camp towers who seemed not to give a crap about each other. Mr. Howard Green had set the two men on a fragile emotional landscape so they would outsmart each other even better, eliminate each other in shadows of misery. 3 airspace navigation experts from Mexico had received extensive training on air traffic control systems already, and Mr. Green had attached them to a Fred in Tomsk, Russia, while he antagonized Messrs. Stewart and Mason in Afghanistan, so they would skin each other in broad daylight. And with the provisions of the Tomsk security protocols of a win-win situation clearly spelled out, the 2 officers would be replaced by the Mexicans in just a click of the mouse should friction escalate. That would be undisputable sabotage on the part of Mr. Green. But that's how he planned it. STM Kudus Towers, EC132 Alpha Bravo, exit control zone, special VFR via Sierra, replied Mr. Stewart. EC132 Alpha Bravo, STM Kudus Tower, exit control, special VFR via Sierra. The liftoff took place at 7 p.m. sharp. Daimler Street was where that happened. I squeezed myself between 2 huge bags of German DM51 hand grenades. And there he was. I saw him. He faced me. Nothing would have been but much more nourishing than a terrible chubby familiar face about the helicopter control wheel in such a cruel atmosphere of lousy fellows, I beg your pardon. And I found myself staring at him much as I stared at the blank piece of paper I held in my hand. That sparkle in his eyes was familiar. He went Mr. Dawson Miles, I beg your pardon, by name. I thought he had crushed his chances of life. We were never safe, and flight was a mere dream. Twisted faith. You only had one side. EC132 Alpha Bravo, Kudus Towers. STM Kudus Towers, EC132 Alpha Bravo. Resetting squawk, replied Miles. Code 1200. The man had for sure cloaked himself in a bubble of steam. Now, the last time we parted, I confess, he was headed for Uzbekistan, clad in a blue ISO jeans, trousers, and a seersucker jacket. Under the STM watch, we had spent 2 years of combat training in the Moorland in Kudus, Afghanistan. And now, folks, the reality of his having to face me with an ironclad lie burst into the air about the helicopter controls. Sure, I was headed for a perfect reunion with my past demons. But these little memories from which I would spare no pain to inoculate myself against turned out to be weighty ones the longer I engaged them into the mushy hollows of my mind. And with this, I come to the end of my today's episode. Please hit the subscribe button below and support the channel. Auf Wiedersehen.